bringing 3 nades into a raid?
Yeah, I'm a disgusting freak. Sorry. Disclaimer, if you want to win almost any close-range fight with absolutely zero skill involved, this is the loadout for you. Doesn't matter if they have a Volcano, Venator, Bobcat, or Torrenti, as long as you have hands, this build beats all of them with its eyes closed. I must warn you though, you lose a bit of your soul every time you run this. In fact, for every grenade you throw, your balls or tits shrink 0.1% smaller. If you're okay with being a drooling, skill-less, disgusting piggy, then you may proceed. I've been talking about how broken trigger nades are for so long. You'll notice that nobody has uploaded anything on trigger nades except for the drooling rats who use it like a trap. It's because the top players want to keep this info for themselves. They're all running around with at least 3 trigger nades. I'd say I feel guilty for spreading such an overpowered and toxic strategy, but it's better if everyone knows how broken it is until it gets nerfed. Which it will, by the way, I promise you that. Honestly, these big streamers must not be League or WoW players because they haven't analyzed or theory crafted a day in their lives. They were using heavy fuse nades for so long and just leaving trigger nades on the floor. It took guys like Hutch and Peanut 3 weeks just to find out how broken trigger nades are. They deal more damage than heavy fuse, they have the same radius, they're just as cheap and easy to craft, and most importantly, they can blow up wherever and whenever you want them to. Heavy fuse nades. So fucking worthless. Wake up, unks. We're in November of 2025, and the value of crude explosives and processors just skyrocketed. Here's what every shameless sweatlord is running. Alright, so here's the loadout you want. It's basically all about trigger nades. That's going to be your primary source of damage in close-range fights. I keep 1 or 2 trigger nades and big smokes in my quick use because they're so good, but they're kind of expensive, so I keep some in my safe pocket so I don't waste a bunch if I die. Bring good bandages, blue or green, and then bring an alternate form of healing. It could be like a Vita spray, or a Surge Shield Recharger, or a Vita shot. I wouldn't bring more than 1 of those 3 because you just don't have the time in a fight to apply like 4 different types of healing. So you could do like bandage, Vita spray, shield recharger, or like bandage, shield recharger, surge, bandage, Vita shot, surge, or shield recharger. You get the point. Bring adrenaline, use it to get around the map. If you're about to get into a PvP fight and they already know you're there, you don't mind making noise with the adrenaline shot, pop that. If you approach a building, you want to start pre-nading corners because people love to camp corners. Don't gamble, just pre-nade any suspicious corners that people tend to hide in. Bring white bandages in case you get chipped by a drone or take some fall damage. Zipline's nice to get up somewhere. Defib if you're feeling nice in solos or if you're in teams. Jolt Mine's really good for watching your back, especially when you're like looting a key room or you're in Stella Montes. You know, anywhere close quarters, indoors, this will watch whatever angles you need to watch. Even if they, you know, notice it and then trip it, you know, instead of walking over it, that's an early warning so that they can't sneak up on you. It's really good. Let's say you're not going to be indoors a lot. You could bring like barricades. These are pretty precious. I still don't have the blueprint, and Apollo only sells 6 a day. Sometimes I'll do like this. Protect my barricades this way. Let's say I want to bring a key. I could do like, you know, maybe like 2 barricades. Be kind of stingy with those. Like, it's not easy to get these things if you don't have the blueprint. Say you need like a key. You could bring a Raider hatch right here, or like a damn staff room key. If you are going somewhere in the day and you don't have space for the Raider hatch key, at this point of the game, it's just not that precious compared to some of the utility you could be bringing. So you can just bring it in your backpack. What else? Let's say you're in a squad, you could have 1 person bring the 3 barricade kits, 1 person bring 3 zip lines, 1 person bring 3 jolt mines. That'll cover all your bases. Make sure everybody's bringing smokes. At the very least, 2 or 3 big smokes or 5 little smokies if you're on a budget. If you don't have this looting survivor augment, you can always go with Tactical Mark II. You won't have as many safe pockets. I would ditch the higher quality healing, and this will work just fine as well. If you don't have the survivor augment, you could use the Tactical Mark II, or if you just really like that smoke effect, just know you're not going to have as many safe pockets. If you want to up your budget, you can always increase your trigger nades to 6. You'll just never run out at that point. Here's some tips for abusing trigger nades. First of all, you are not a gunman. You are a warlock who just happens to have a gun. Your primary attack in PvP is the trigger nade. Trigger nades shine the most when used as an active weapon thrown the moment you need it, not as a trap. They have a lot of underappreciated qualities that they honestly don't deserve but just have anyway. One of the less obvious effects of the Trigger Nade is that it leaves behind a smoke effect for quite a while, so it's actually hard to shoot through. It basically doubles as an explosive and a smoke while you're fighting, which means even missing a Trigger Nade sets you up with an advantage to throw more through the smoke. They can't shoot you through the smoke precisely, but you don't need precision when tossing nades through it. If you see somebody take a corner or piece of cover in front of you, the fight's already won. You just throw down 2 Trigger Nades and it kills them, no matter what shield they have. Let's say somebody beams the shit out of you and gets you really low and you gotta run away. If you throw down 1 or 2 Trigger Nades in your pursuer's way, they're gonna hear that and think twice about chasing. If they don't respect the Trigger Nade, you can often just chunk them and turn on them or outright kill them with the Trigger Nades. Another nice thing about them is that you don't need to give your enemy any line of sight to throw nades at them. Say he has a large health advantage. I don't care if you have a Venator 4 or decked out Bobcat, it's gonna suck challenging him with a gun. With a Trigger Nade, you can throw it at a spot next to him without you guys ever having line of sight of each other, which means it's really good at denying trades and return fire. Lastly, with 3 Trigger Nades, you can one-shot any Surveyor. This is really handy for me as I try to kill every Surveyor I see since their blueprint drop rates are really good. Sticking them with a Trigger Nade doesn't aggro them either, so if you get close, they might beep and turn yellow, but they won't react to your Trigger Nades until it's too late. Here's how you farm it. You see these yellow and blue servers that you can breach? They have tons of processors. You can find them on any map. This spot on Spaceport is probably my favorite for farming processors, as it has a ton of servers and is rarely contested. If you need crude explosives, you can farm a ton of chemicals in the seed vault, or just loot every pop and fireball you see. Remember, pop triggers salvage into more crude explosives. Once you get your loadout set up, go ahead and practice using Trigger Nades in the practice range. When you get a feel for how responsive and unreactable these grenades are, you'll be wondering why you haven't been abusing them yourself. It is the meta, and auto wins every fight. There you have it, Sweatlords. Enjoy selling your soul to the devil and all of the fat loot you're about to acquire from winning easy fights. Right now, you have a massive advantage against the rest of the community until people figure out the Trigger Nade meta. If you found this helpful, please drop a like and subscribe as it helps a lot. I have a full-time job outside of YouTube that keeps me from dropping content as often as I'd like, but I'd love to do YouTube full-time. See you topside, Raiders.